All right, so let's begin by installing all of the modules we'll need for this Magic Link server, and then we'll establish some basic routes. Before we even do that, let me show you guys this. So this is called ngrok, and it basically exposes your local address. So my local address would be localhost or 127.0.0.1.40.40. In this case, it's port 3000. It exposes it to the outside world. And so when we send a link to the user in their email, we can't direct them to localhost because Gmail, and I'm going to use my Gmail account, Gmail has no idea what localhost we're talking about. So we have to send an HTTP link. And so all ngrok does, it exposes your localhost to the outside world. And instead of just copying and pasting this constantly, I've just established a constant variable here. So ngrok URL, and we'll be using that throughout the video. So let's get to installing all of the packages and then getting a server up and running. So we're going to need, do we have an init yet? No. So npm init, we'll do a -y. We have our package JSON, perfect. So the packages we're going to need: Express for the server, we'll need cores for the cores, we'll need body parser to body parse the body of the information coming in. We'll need something called node mailer to send the email. And then we'll need JSON Web Token to establish the web token we're going to use to authenticate the user. So Express, cores, body parser, node mailer, JSON Web Token, hit enter. And of course I didn't do the install. Let's go here and just do an I install whatever. There we go. All right, so we have all the packages installed. Let's go to the package JSON. We're going to be using NodeMon for the monitoring of our server. So I'm going to do a start script here, and we'll just do a node of app.js, and of course the main's app.js. Perfect. All right, save this. Let's write the code. So ngrok URL. What else are we going to need? For the JSON Web Token, when we get there, I'll tell you why we need it. We're going to need a secret. So I'll just put secrets equal to, it could be any word you want. Let's say jalapeno, Jalapeno. All right, let's get that server running. So const express require the express module. We'll okay the cores next. So cores equals require cores. Let's do the body parser, const body parser require body parser. What else did we have? We had the JSON Web Token require JSON Web Token, and we had the node mailer require node mailer. Should be good. So let's use the const app is equal to express constructor, and we'll use, actually before that, let's establish a port. We'll do it up here with all the other constants. So const ports equal to process.env.port, or we're using 3000. And let's do this. Let's go app.use cores. We'll do app.use body parser.json, should be that. Let's establish 3 routes. So the first route's going to be let me do some more spacing here. First route's going to be a post. We're going to send the email to our server. So let's do a / send magic link like that. The request, response, arrow function. There we go. For now, we'll just do a res status of 200 and end. Let's do another route. This will be the route to actually authenticate the user. So we'll do a get, and we'll just say authenticate. Authenticate, there we go. Res status, and we'll do a general 404. Let me clear this console thing. There we go. General 404, so app.use, we'll do a request, response, next, arrow, and we'll do a res.status of 404, and we'll just do an end. Let's do a custom error handler. We're not really going to need it, but I usually do this for my basic setups of the REST server. So app.use We're going to need the error object request res next. And all we're going to say is res.status is equal to error.status. If there's no error.status, we'll do a general 500. And we'll send a message, error.message. If there's no message, we'll just say problem. Let's start the server. So const server, a bit more space, is equal to app.listen. We're going to listen on the port. We're going to get a function back. We don't really care about the parameter or the argument. And we'll just say console.log. Server is up and running on port space. We'll do a server.address. It's a function of the port. And we'll put a period right there. All right, start the server, see what we get. Save. We say nodemon in the directory, and we get a crash. Body parser.json is not a function. Let's try that. Scroll down, and still an error. That's because body parser is not a function. The JSON is the function. There we go. Up and running, port 3000. So we're going to be using a combination of things. We're going to be using the Gmail account, Gmail thing I have open, as well as Postman to check the routes. So right now, let's check the, close this. Let's check the send magic link. Expects a post. So we'll do a post. I'll have a link in the description below to where you can get this this Postman. We use the ngrok URL. For this, we can use localhost or this ngrok. It doesn't really matter, but let's be consistent. So we're going to use the ngrok. So ngrok slash, what was it, send magic underscore link. We should get a status of 2000, or excuse me, 200 sent back. So we send, and there we go. Status of 200 is okay right there. And of course, we sent back nothing, so there's no actual response in the body or anything like that. All right, so we have a basic server up and running. All right, so let's build out the first route here, the send magic link. So we're just going to create a JSON Web Token, and then we're going to do some authentication, and then we're going to go back to the send magic link, and we'll do some sending of the actual email. And so we're going to expect an email coming through the body. So we're going to say if rec.body.email. We'll construct a JSON Web Token, else we're just going to throw an error. So throw new error. I'll just say invalid email address. Don't ever do this in real life, but we're just doing for this video tutorial. If you throw errors like this is going to get sent back to the client. And so the client's going to have a window into what's happening on your back end. And so they can just spam your back end with different email addresses. And if they don't get this message, they know that that email address exists on your server. So you never want to show the front end or the client side a window or the logic in your back end. Don't give them any hints. So we're just going to throw a new error just for this video. And if there's a body email, we'll send the res status 200. All right, so how do we construct this JSON Web Token? We're going to be using JWT, so let me do a const token, and I'll explain something here. So JWT.sign takes an option object, and it takes the secret. Now, I'm not going to go into too much depth about how a JSON Web Token works. That's not the point of the video. The point of the video is building out a server that uses it. But we're going to be doing something called the issuer. We're going to do something called, let me just do this. So just give me the errors. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to need an expiration date. We're going to need a sub. And we're going to need, what do we need? We're going to need a nonce value. All right, issuer can be anything. It's going to be us, something to identify us. So I'm just going to say, we're building a magic link server. Usually this is something like, I think, a .com type of thing, but just something to identify us. The expiration date, we're going to do a math.floor of, what are we going to do? Date.now gives us milliseconds, divided by 1,000 to give us seconds. And so from the time this token gets created, we're going to advance it, say 60 times 5, which would give us 5 minutes. So this token's going to expire in 5 minutes. The sub is what I need to talk to you guys about. So for this video, we're not doing any sort of any sort of database work. But ideally what you do is you would check, let me do this. What you do is you check your local database, so it could be MongoDB, it could be your SQL, for a sub. And we're using sub as a unique ID that is stored on your database that is associated with this person's email. So we know if they've logged in before, so we can send back details as well. So you look for check your local database for we'll do this, a sub that matches with the email that came in. Again, we're not going to build a database for this, so just pretend that we pinged a database and we found a sub that is associated with this email. So let's make it up here. Let's do const sub is equal to, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, ABC. There we go. So put that sub in here, sub. And we'll do, can I do this? There we go. All the nonsense is it's a random string of numbers, something nonsensical, so you can't get duplicate JSON Web Tokens. You don't need this, but as much as I can say you need it, you need it. So we have the issuer, we have the expiration date, we have the sub, which is the unique ID associated with this email, and we have the nonce value and the secret. And so when you pass a JSON Web Token over your server, the client getting it can check the secret, that the secret is valid. If the secret doesn't match up, there is something wrong with not exactly the sending of the JSON Web Token, but someone probably tampered with it. Somebody probably changed the information. And so that's what the secret's for. Let me show you this. JSON Web Token IO. So this site is a encode or decode JSON Web Token. And so this is a JSON Web Token. This is what it translates into. And the secret is secret. Say someone tampered with this information, but you kept or they had a different secret. The signing key wouldn't be verified. So it just tells you that someone tampered with the information in the JSON Web Token. So let's do this. Let's send this to my console, and you'll see what it looks like. And then we'll use that site I just showed you to see all of the innards of our JSON Web Token. So we'll save. We'll go to our postman. It expects an email in the body, so we'll do a raw. We'll do, not raw, excuse me, we'll do body, raw right here. Raw, we need JSON. There we go. So it expects an email. We'll just do, I don't know, blah at blah.com. All right, so let's send this guy. Send, we get the secret is not defined. Secret. What are we talking about? Secret, S-E-C-R-E-T, S-E-C. Oh. There we go. Save. Let's go again. We get the 200. We should get the printout of our JSON Web Token here. So we copy this and we paste it into that site I just showed you. And pay attention to the information here. So I take this, Control V. We get Magic Link Server. That's who we are. We get the expiration date. We get the sub, which is their unique ID. We get a nonsensical value, and IAT, we didn't establish that. They established that for us. And the signing key is, of course, invalid because the secret is not secret FSD. It is jalapeno, like that. And there we go, verified. So let's go back here, close this. So now that we have the token, let's send it over to my email. We're going to be doing that with Node Mailer. Actually, before we do that, I told you guys we would skip to the authentication and then we'd go back to the magic link and send the email. So let's go to the authenticate. What's it going to expect? Well, we're going to send the JSON Web Token as you do through the URL through a query parameter token is equal to all that stuff. So we'll say if there's a token, so rec.query.token, then we'll proceed. If there's no token, we'll just throw a new error. So throw new error, I'll just say no token. And again, do not send error messages like this to the client, to the front end. So if there is a token, we're going to get the token from the query. We'll say const tokens equal to rec.query.token. And then we're going to verify the token in a try catch. So the method we're going to be using is jwt.verify. It takes the token and it takes the secret. And it just does what we did here, where it takes the token, it tests it against the secret. If it's valid, it gets verified. If it's invalid, it throws an error. So we need to wrap this guy in a try catch. So try, and I'll do a catch here. Error. There we go. And if it catches an error, we'll just do a throw new error, and we'll do error.message. Again, do not send these to the client side. So we'll say const decoded token is equal to this stuff. All right. And here again, we're not going to be using an actual database. We're just going to simulate it with comments. So what we're going to say is, so once we get the actual token verified, what we're going to do is use that sub in the, we're going to use this sub in the token to ping our database. So we're going to use sub to, let's say, get user information from database. So things like their email, we'll do this, const user info is equal to things like their email. So we'll say, and again, we're just making this stuff up. Email is t@yeah.com. Maybe we got their name, their actual name. We'll say Johnny. Maybe we got something like their occupation. Occupation, we'll do programmer. There we go. So let's just say we got that from the actual database. And next comes a very important concept within this Magic Link server, which is like a session ID. So something unique to the user who's logging in. And again, we'd probably send this to the database. So we'd do something like this. We'd create a session ID. Session ID. We create it in the program here. And then we associate it with, let's do this. Let's go session ID. And associated with the sub of the user. And this is just to maintain that the user is logged into the logged into our system. And so if there's a session ID, they're logged in. If there's no session ID, they're logged out. And I don't know if we're going to do a log out route. We'll see when we get to the end. Just understand we need a session ID, so when the user logs in through the browser, we know where they are in the system, if they're valid or not. So user, let's just create one here. Const session ID is equal to, I don't know, 456ZXY. There we go. And to tell the browser that this user is authorized and they're starting a new session, we'll send it back in the cookies of the browser or for the browser. So do res.cookie. We'll send the session ID. We'll do one word to the session ID. And we'll set another cookie that gives us, or gives the browser, who's associated with this session ID. So that would be the sub. So we'll do sub like that. And let's do this just to maintain some sort of consistency. Let's say we had sub in there as well. And the sub would be, this one actually comes from the token. So we can go decoded token.sub. This guy would be userinfo.sub. So we're sending these two cookies to the browser. So the browser, when it needs to look up something on the back end for the user who's logged in, it can use their sub. And if they want to log out, it can use a combination of the sub and their session ID if it needs to. So res.cookies. And then after we authenticate, we're just going to send them to our welcome route, which we need to write right after this. So we'll do a res.redirect to ngrok URL plus, did I do a slash up there? I didn't, so we'll do +/welcome. And all the welcome is going to do is going to display a welcome page. We could have easily done that right here with a res.status.send whatever, and we put some HTML in here. I just don't want them landing on this route here, authenticate. It's going to show up in the browser in their URL, and showing them a welcome message is not something I want to do. So it's going to redirect to welcome. We'll write that right here. We'll do an app.get of a welcome. We'll do a request. We'll do a response. We'll do an arrow function. Let me scroll up. And all we're going to do is res.status 200, and we'll send some HTML. Let's do H1 welcome to our Chrome extension. H1. Let's do this. Delete that, delete that, delete that, delete that, and delete that. Don't need that. There we go. H1, welcome to our Chrome extension. We'll do a BR. We'll do this to 2. So you are now logged in. You are now logged in. That's an H2. We'll do another BR. Then we'll say H3. Click on the extension icon to begin. So click on the extension icon to begin. There we go. Of course, that's an H3. So we're just going to send them back some generic HTML like that. And when we set the cookies here, even though we're not setting cookies here, because we set it here, these cookies will send with this res status send stuff. Which reminds me, if there's any sort of error, we want to clear the cookies before we send the error message. So we're just going to do a res.clear cookie, and we'll clear the sub, and we'll clear the session ID. Session, one word. There we go. So what we have so far is this. They click on the link. That link's going to direct to this route. This route's going to look for an email address. It's going to faux or pretend to look for their sub associated with their email. We're going to get a sub. We're going to construct a web token. We're about to send it to their email. When we send it to their email and they click that link will redirect to the authenticate. It'll get the token from the authenticate URL, which I'll fix, right? I'll fix here when we do it. Anyways, we get the token, we decode the token, we get the information. Again, we're faking looking up the database information. We create a session ID unique to that user. We set the cookies, and then we redirect to the welcome URI. And all the welcome URI just says is welcome to our Chrome extension. You are now logged in. Let me put a period there. Click on the extension icon too. There should be no E there. Begin. Okay, so let's send this guy to the to my email. To do that, we're doing the authenticate. No, send magic link right down here. So we're going to send the token to my email using the Google SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Basically, we're sending to my email using Google's server. So we're going to say we're going to need a transporter. So const transporter is equal to nodemailer.createTransport. It's going to be an object. And we're going to need 4 things. We need the host, which is just going to be smtp.google.com. We're going to need the port that they let us use, which is going to be 465. We're going to do a secure of true. And then we're going to pass in auth. Now the auth is, because we're using Google servers, you have to have a Google account to send or use their server to send emails. So the user is going to be, and I put it in a config file right here. I'm not going to show you the config file because it has my password for my Google account there. So the user is just going to be, what's going to be, do I have it here? No, I need to import it. So we'll do this. We'll do const config is equal to require of /config folder /config.js. So now we can use the config. User is just going to be config.user, and the pass is going to just be config.pass. There we go. So our transporter, we now need to set the options of the email. So let options, and we don't really need a let. We'll do const options, another object. It's going to be 2, and we'll send it to my one of my Google accounts. So we're just going to say @gmail.com. A subject of here is your magic link, and then we'll do a body of HTML, and we'll just do a link. So href is equal to, it's going to be our ngrok proxy. We're going to send it to the authenticate URI. So this plus, it's going to be /authenticate. Actually, we won't need that. We'll do here authenticate, and we'll send it through the URL. So query parameters or query string, token is equal to, and just going to be the token that we created right up here. So token, there we go. And we need to close off the href, close off that. We'll just say click me, close off that. Let me see if I got that right. ngrok URL / authenticate, perfect. Query token, expects token, click me, perfect. All right, let's send that email. So we'll do a transporter.send mail. We'll send with the options. We'll get something, I think it's an error, and we'll just do info. And we'll say if there is an error, we'll do a console.log of error sending mail. And why is it giving me this stuff? There should be an arrow function. There you go. And I need more than this there. We'll do an else. Console.log of mail sent successfully. There you go. All right, that looks good. Let's run this and see if we send the email to my email address. And so we'll use the postman to do that. This email shouldn't be blah blah, it should be my actual email. gmail.com. We are now posting to send magic link. Perfect. All right, let's send. What do we get back? We get back a 200. Let's check my email. And there's nothing here. Why is that? Let's check this. What are we doing wrong here? Transporter nil host. Oh, the host is not Google. It's gmail.com. And user config. Is it config? Config, I think I put it under account, not user. So let's save. Let's go back, try that again. So we send. We get a response of 200, which is okay. We go back to my email. There it is. Here's your magic link. We click this. And this should direct me to the authenticate, and the authenticate should redirect me to the welcome page. So I click this, and secret is not defined. Secret is not defined. That would be right here. All right, so this whole video I misspelled secret. Let's spell it correctly. S-E-C-R-E, there's no C here. There we go. So that means we need to change it here as well. Dyslexia or something. Secret's there. Let me just do a search for it. Secret, 3 times I've used it. All right, let's check this again. Close this. Let's go. We don't need this anymore. Let me close that. Let's do a send. 200, okay. Let's go to my email. Should have fresh. There we go. I should get redirected to the welcome page. And there we go. Welcome to our Chrome extension. You are now logged in. Click on the extension icon to begin. Let's do an inspection here. We'll check that the cookies sent. So we'll do an application, we'll check the cookies. There we go. We get the sub and the session ID. So just keep in mind, I only said Chrome extension because I'll be doing a future video on how to build a Chrome extension that uses a magic link server to log them in. But this server works with any site. It doesn't have to be a Chrome extension. It could be your, I don't know, your portfolio page or anything, your web store. It doesn't really matter. The logic is still sound. Now let me just tell you guys a few things and then I will let you go. And so the first thing is let's handle the cookie business. Right now we're just sending generic cookies. We're using an HTTP protocol. So it's not a non-secure, it's not a secure way of sending cookies. Ideally what we would do is something like this. We'd do a HTTP only, set that to true, and then we'd do maybe a secure set to true. And this attribute might conflict with what you want to do, but this one for sure sends the cookies over HTTPS only. For this video, we used HTTP. We didn't set up an HTTPS server. But again, if you're going to do this in real life production, you want to secure how you send the cookies over to the client. This is not good, what we did here. So let me delete this. And the last thing I want to tell you guys is we haven't coded in this video for the Alt F, there we go, for this. So let me close this. Let me press the link again, and we're logged in again. So I can use that same token over and over and over again for about 5 minutes. If you do this before production, you want to code in some sort of logic that as soon as they use the link once, it neutralizes or destroys the ability to use that link again. So that's going to be it for this video. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and I will see you guys in the next one. And look forward to that video I'll be doing where I create a Chrome extension that uses this exact server, and we're just going to create a magic link or passwordless authentication Chrome extension. Take it easy, guys.